20 years since the discovery of the Titanic, the legendary ship still contains secrets. Get ready for a real-time trip to Titanic, seeing the ship in a way it has never been experienced before. Armed with new technology, James Cameron is seeking answers to haunting mysteries that could never be solved.
This is incredible.
Until now.
We are really in uncharted territories now.
The waters are stilled, the shipyard almost silent. But a century ago, this grey Belfast quayside witnessed a legend in the making. This was the birthplace of the most famous ship the world has ever seen, Titanic. She was to be colossal, magnificent, built to match the vision of the men who made her. Men driven by boundless ambition.
Yes, I am laying down a challenge. Perhaps the greatest in the history of shipbuilding.
By a sense of foreboding.
Surely the first rule of safety must be to think the unthinkable.
And by absolute conviction.
Is the ship safer? We don't know of it. As far as I'm concerned, she is practically unsinkable.
But the true forgotten Titanic story is that of the workers who built the world's most luxurious ship with their bare hands. It's a story of violence and high political drama, of despair and tragedy, and of shame. Titanic, 5 years in the making, sank in less than 3 hours. 1,500 died. Among them, a handful of the shipyard men who brought her to life. This is the untold story of those men and their ship.
This is the part of Titanic's story we all know. But what happened to Titanic after the last eyewitness saw her slip beneath the surface? Titanic is the perfect unsolved murder mystery. It hit there, but then it kind of whiplashes when it hits the ground back here. What happened in the final minutes of the ship? How did it break up? How did it fall? How did it hit the bottom? Why did she sink so fast? Could more lives have been saved? Did I get the details right in the feature film?
No, I'm talking about the sinking, the way you depicted the sinking.
But we didn't do it because we didn't know. For the first time ever, I've gathered all the evidence and 8 of the world's leading Titanic experts, all together in one place. Some have been to the wreck. Some approach it through the testimony. Some approach it through the physical forensics.
We respectfully disagree.
No one gets out of this room until we piece together, once and for all, what happened in Titanic's final minutes. We're going to argue. I guarantee you, it'll get heated.
Coincidence? There is no coincidence.
There's no such thing as coincidence. I agree. Now, on the 100th anniversary of the tragedy, 15 years after the film's initial release, It's time for the final word on what really happened to Titanic.
Mir 1, Jason is coming out of his hitch, over.
Here he comes, he's out. We released Titanic 20 years ago. It seems like a lifetime. But I remember everything like it was yesterday, from the first dive to the wreck to our last day of production. We were creating a living history, so I needed every detail as accurate as we could make it. We owed the truth to the hundreds of souls lost that night in 1912. Even now, I feel a responsibility to the living and the dead. Did we get it right? After decades of exploration and scientific analysis, we know a lot more than we did when we made the film. So I've gathered a team of experts, Park Stevenson, Ken Marshall, and Don Lynch, to reopen the case file on Titanic and look at what we've discovered over the last 20 years. We'll investigate whether more lifeboats on board could have saved more lives. I think I probably would cut faster if my life depended on it. Hear the surprising story of how the long-lost ship was found.
Did you get spooked?
It was spooky.
And learn how the film affected the families of some of Titanic's famous passengers.
Molly Brown sounded like a real pistol. I would have loved to have met her.
She was larger than life.
We'll step back in time to see how our sets match up against what we found at the wreck site, and we'll mount tests that may answer questions about the sinking that have bothered me for almost 2 decades.
Yes!
We'll see where we were right and where we got it wrong.